Indoctrination is a hell of a thing. And the point in this video is to tell you that just because you're not doing it to this extent doesn't mean that you weren't indoctrinated. I was indoctrinated different times in the Pentecostal church and other things. I went out and lived with the Amish in a community type cult setting. I had been in other cults. Indoctrination is a very strong force, and the human spirit can be controlled just like seducing a snake, just like charming a snake. The human spirit can be controlled. Indoctrination throughout history, think about it. Think about what indoctrination does to people and how crazy it can be. So just because you think you felt something because you were baptized and you felt clean afterwards doesn't mean anything actually happened. Indoctrination can give you dreams and visions. People in other countries, Muslim women and stuff, will burn their faces with acid and think that it was from God, from indoctrination, so that no man will look at them, you know. They will get their clits removed so that they cannot experience pleasure at the same time that the man is experiencing plenty of pleasure with them, you know. Indoctrination, and they'll think that that was from God. Makes them wear certain things. Indoctrination can get men. Alright, you have one king. Okay, there's a king, and he's just like any other man, but he commands thousands or millions of troops, and they will do whatever he says, and they will go out and fight for him and die while he's sitting in his comfy home. You know, that's indoctrination. People lining up. They would just line up. Who does that? That's stupid. That's against nature. That's against anything to just everybody grab your musket, stand in a straight line, and get this far away from each other and fire. Well, hopefully I don't get hit. And fire. And fire. That's ridiculous. I mean, if you're gonna fight, that's the stupidest way you can possibly fight. Just march in a straight line. Indoctrination, you got cults. Mothers will give their daughters, their young daughters, to a cult leader to molest them and think that they're doing God service. That's indoctrination. You got Mormons. Okay, a guy can have 8 wives, but the woman, and they feel that that's godly, but the woman is not allowed to have any more husbands or do anything with anybody else, but he can have 8 different wives. It goes so far in everything. Humans can be hypnotized, and actually every single thing in the world is hypnosis. Whenever you watch a film or you're reading a book or a Bible, if you think that it's from God, if you think this thing or somebody tells you this and you believe it, you're indoctrinated and you're hypnotized. You've seen them come to schools and stuff where they will hypnotize people, get them up on stage, people act like chickens and have no idea what happened. They also do the same thing with soldiers. You can just call a soldier and say a key word, and then they can go out and kill somebody and do what you want them to do because that triggered their hypnosis, and they won't even know what they did. This spirit, looking around you, this spirit that a human has, can be hypnotized and indoctrinated to do crazy things, including demonic possession. You can be told that you're possessed, and if you believe it strongly enough, you're going to act that way. Things will happen. You will hear things, you will do things, you will see things. You can be indoctrinated to where you have dreams and visions of that indoctrination. I have a New Age friend. He got indoctrinated to where he thought that he was an alien from a different planet, and aliens were talking to him and everything else, right? And it's so strong that you can't get out of it. And indoctrination should be the last, you gotta realize that anything you're doing, any church you're sitting in, there's 41,000 different denominations. You have to break free of that. You have to break free of thinking that because of something that happened or because a healing took place, which happens in all religions and all denominations across the world, that now you somehow, that's the truth, you know. If you get baptized, if you allow some man to put you down in the water, then you are going to have to submit to that man, and it's going to be very hard to see the truth about that man. He could be molesting children, he could be telling lies, but you believe that what he did to you saved you, so you can't come out of that. Truth and love are the only things that are going to get you out of indoctrination. There are so many sayings in the Bible, even one-liners, that would tell you that Jesus Christ already returned. It shouldn't be something that has to be studied amazingly. The Lord did a short work upon the earth. This generation shall not pass. Behold, I'm coming quickly. Hold that fast which you have until I come. Spoken to living people at that time, that he was coming quickly, and they had to hold that fast which he had until he came. The coming of the Lord draweth nigh. All these things is enough to tell you Jesus already came. So forget about how you feel watching that preacher on television, because that's how they feel in other churches too. The preacher could be molesting children, and everybody will still be falling down, shaking, and thinking that they're speaking in tongues and heavenly languages and just, falling out in the spirit and everything else whenever you feel God coming from that guy, right? Or you think, and then it turns out that's not it. It's not God. This guy's been molesting my children the whole time, But yet everybody thought that this was the man of God. Everything. How do you get a bunch of knights to go and do the crusades and kill men, women, and children? How do you get that? They used to bring out Peter's bones because the priests were actually afraid of the knights because they were so ruthless, the way that they made them. But they could bring out Peter's bones because they had preached sermons to them about Peter and how they're taking, Peter's legacy and everything. And they're from God. And those knights would fall down crying and submit to the Pope, or the priests. The Inquisition, how do you get people to torture people like that? How is that even possible? How can you indoctrinate people to fight against your own cousin and your own brother and shoot them in the face during war, in a civil war, whenever both sides think that they're doing what God wants? It goes in every religion, so many ways, and horrific things happen from it. How do you get 1,000 people to drink Kool-Aid and kill themselves? How's that even possible? How is it possible for us to be this controlled? So watch out for that. You are hypnotized. If you're in any of these churches, or you think Jesus hasn't already come, or just because you had a feeling and you thought God spoke to you, or this, that, or the other, or you've met Jesus now, or whatever. No, it's indoctrination, and you can feel that way any way you want. If you're a Muslim, you're going to go kill yourself if somebody makes you eat bacon, because you're indoctrinated. And the government has to know it too. That's how they control you. It's all indoctrination and hypnosis. Whatever they want to happen, they just put on the television. It's all on television now. This is the way that we want things to go. Now we're going to have movies made about it, And now you're indoctrinated. So the only way to break this is by telling the truth. There's 41,000 different denominations. Christ has no part in that. There's no way that your denomination is right out of the 41,000 and the millions of different beliefs inside those denominations, okay? You're fighting for a country. The borders don't exist. There's no such thing as borders. There's no such thing as races. You all come from the same thing, but each country indoctrinates their people to go out and kill each other. It's sick, and you know all the horrific things that have happened. How can people create bombs big enough to wipe out their whole race? And why? It's indoctrination. There are no borders, there are no states, there are no anything in this world. There is, why? Because your fathers, grandfathers, the fathers before you, the generations before you decided to wipe out whole nations and tribes and people and take their land, so now this is our land and we're going to fight for it. A president only gets elected through indoctrination. A king cannot be a king without people to serve him. All it takes for people to break free is just stop serving them and start telling the truth. It's easy to know Jesus already came back. And that's what the Bible said. That's all over. That's done. He did a short work on the earth. It's easy to know that it's wrong for you to have 8 wives if she can't have any more husbands, but they sit in that and they stay there. Your husband's having fun and pleasure and he's going to get virgins in heaven, but he can indoctrinate you to where you go in and get your clit removed so that you can't experience the pleasure. Tell the truth about everything. That's all you gotta do. Just tell the truth. There's something wrong, get out of it. Don't spend years in it like I did and like a lot of other people did and like you've been doing. Don't spend years in all this crap. You know that Christ has not been a part of Christianity since the first church. It's been nothing but horrific and confusion and murder and rape and pillaging and molesting and division. That's all it's been, because he's not part of it. Did I just say the truth right there? Yes, I said the truth. That's the absolute truth. But you won't be able to hear it. You can't even tell somebody an exact thing that, I mean, you can't argue with this. The coming of the Lord draweth nigh. Either James was a liar and you shouldn't listen to him, or Jesus already came back. This generation will not pass. Either Jesus was lying and you shouldn't listen to him, or he already came back. You know? You go to a church, just sit in that church and then look out your window to the next block and see the other church. And then sit in that church and realize that these churches don't agree with the same type of church in their same area. And they don't even fellowship each other. Indoctrination. You're standing up there and they're playing music for you and you're getting all crazy and, you know, oh, this music, it's so great. They've set it up, and most unknowingly, just that's the way to control you. They don't put it into words and say, you know what, I'm going to control these people. But that's what they're doing, is they're just indoctrinating you and getting your emotions flowing to where you have to submit to them and think that you are under them. Think that they're the way to God. The Bible's over. Jesus is not part of Christianity. You know, I've seen people stand up and act like God's speaking through them, you know, and say, count the number of the seal, I'm opening the fourth seal. You get these people in a tizzy about a rapture coming. You can get everybody to kill themselves because Jesus is coming back. And the more people you have together, the more power there is to that, because you're looking around and unbeknown to you, this other person is thinking the same thing you're thinking, like, well, you know, this doesn't seem right, but it's got to be because these other people over here, they're fine with it, and there's so many people that are fine with this, I must be the one in the wrong. But really, every single person's thinking that this is wrong, there's something wrong with this, but then they're looking around at you, and you're looking at them, and you're both thinking the same thing. Well, they're fine with it, so I have to be the one in the wrong. Well, so many people do it, I have to be the one in the wrong. Don't worry about your societies and your governments and your fences and your borders and your races and your language and your culture. Don't worry about the religion and all those things, because that's what causes war. All that's indoctrination. This is not indoctrination. This is just plain common sense and decency to do good to the person that you'd come in contact with. Don't do anything stupid. Don't lie to them. Don't cheat them. You know, nothing like that. Don't hurt them. Don't take from them. You know, if they are owed something, give that to them. You know, don't have them come and, you know, hey, can I get a ride? Never pay them gas money. You know, they deserve that gas money. You know what I'm saying? It's that simple. There's nothing else that God ever wanted. The law came because people would not love their neighbors. So he had to tell them, look, if you're going to do this to this person, give them this. If you do this, give them, make this equal, do this and do this, and then, but if it happens in this situation, then do this. He had to tell them all that because how evil they were. But all that's over, so just do good to people and get out of all that indoctrination, because every church you're in, and your baptisms, and your speaking in tongues, and most dreams and visions, and all those things are just indoctrination. You can even see the right thing. God can be trying to tell you something, but you'll never understand it because you're indoctrinated. And indoctrination can make you do some insane shit.